You know, sometimes in the Wonka well, it's good to reflect. So this week I thought it would be good if we returned to an old classic favorite of mine. The only Roald Dahl book I genuinely would have said I liked as a kid. George's Marvelous Medicine. Now, was this a popular book? Not particularly, but I liked it because you can read it in about 40 minutes, which was the exact amount of time my really bad diarrhea stomach aches lasted as a kid. So a book that I could pick up and finish within one poop session, it was all I ever wanted.
That's how you know a book is 5 stars.
Since we're reading this, I didn't remember 90% of the stuff that happens in here, and I think I just like the drawings because I remembered those. And I did not remember the plot. I really liked Quentin Blake's illustrations as a kid, and I really like them now. I think they're lovely. This book is fucked. This book is fucked, guys.
It is fucked up.
But I threw this out there as kind of like a oh, whatever, we'll do this as our episode topic and we'll figure it out. But it surprisingly reminded me a shit ton of Wonka.
Yes,
he reused some fucking plot beats in this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this episode, we're just tackling through George's Marvelous Medicine, my returning review, and Elaine's fresh hot take.
It's baked in the oven. I've taken it out. I put the glaze on it, and I'm ready to go nibble, nibble, nibble.
Yes, that's Elaine, and I'm Felicia, and this is Wonka Watch, a podcast where we cover everything within the Wonkaverse, and sometimes things that are like 45 feet away from the Wonkaverse and looking at it. But yeah, we started this podcast because there's a Wonka prequel, 2023. Timothée Chalamet. Huh?
More.
Yeah, exactly. That was the emotional journey we went through. But before we get into that today, I'm mixing on the stovetepot, a big, giant pot.
Elaine's the biggest sneeze I've ever given in my life.
That was incredible.
That hurt my chest. Oh my god, how do people sneeze like that all the time?
I don't know, man.
I feel like I just kickstarted some heartburn. What? Oh my god. My apologies. Sorry, my throat hurts.
Elaine sneezed in my fucking soup I was making. That's fine. But what's in here? I'm fishing it out from the dredges. Oh, it's a nice congealed bit of Wonka Watch.
Flubby, flubby, flubby.
Two things this week.
Okay.
Number one, I'm not going to spoil who it is, but the winner of UK's Drag Race Season 4 said, I feel like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I'm Charlie, RuPaul is Willy Wonka, Michelle is an Oompa Loompa, and I've got the golden ticket. I just thought you would appreciate that.
God, that's
mostly
amazing.
Just Michelle is an Oompa Loompa.
Yes, that is a wild thing to say straight to her face.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be Carson Matthews? Or I guess it's UK.
Carson, okay. Yeah, no, it's not. They're not gonna. He wouldn't call Alan Carr an Oompa Loompa.
So true.
Also, you said
Ross
Carson
Matthews.
Ross
Matthews.
Yeah.
I was like, something felt wrong. I was like, no, because Carson, I think of strength, and Ross, I think of a little cute mouse.
Yeah, you got Carson
Ross
Kressley,
Matthews.
and you got. When you think of Carson, you think of strength. When you think of Drag Race judge Carson Kressley, you think of strength. And when you think of Ross Matthews, you think of a tiny little mouse.
A cute little mouse like Gus Gus.
I see it. But yeah. I was thrown, and I just wanted your confirmation that that's what you said.
Enter my world of truth. And,
Carson Kressley.
Look into the Wonka pools of our little sewer cavern and see the
strength versus cute mouse, because they're not even in the same category. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love that for you.
Thank you. I learn more about myself every day with this podcast.
All right, and the actual Wonka Watch news for today is this oral history of Willy Wonka's gross chocolate river scene from the 1971 movie from Polygon from about a year or two ago.
Nice.
It was linked in another article I was looking at, so we're going to talk about it, and it just has the cast from that movie talking about it. So Michael Boltner, who played Augustus Gloop, said, it was actually not chocolate, it was terribly cold. It was stinky water, and it was all day long, jumping in and jumping out and being around with wet clothes. Julie Dawn Cole, who played Veruca Salt, said, Michael had to fall into this disgusting stuff that had been there for 3 weeks. It had the lights on it, and people were emptying their coffee cup dregs into it. Bolner said, the river was just 10 centimeters deep, and there was a hole about a square meter that I had to hit. So I was very scared that I would not hit the square meter and would punch my head in the ground of the chocolate river. Paris Themin, who played Mike TV, said, I'm playing some of that genuine shock in the lower left-hand corner of frame right around the time he's going in. It's just about the time that Mike TV is figuring out that maybe not all is well at the factory. I'm looking at Gene blowing the pipe and calling the Oompa Loompa and talking about sending him off to the fudge room, and it's dawning on me. You can watch the whole process in my little brain. Like
Paris Themin is a gem.
Yeah.
Such a gem.
Peter Ostrom, who played Charlie, said, Mel didn't do a lot of directing. It was more trial and error. And we realized when we aired. Also, fucking roast him. And then Paris Themin said, not only was Mel sort of screamy, but he also did a lot of takes. I have a photo of me with a clapboard of 46 takes from one scene where my dad had to say, not to your 12, son. Simple line, uncredited. But I do definitely have recollections of discussing with Mel my motivation and how I feel about it. Mike generally was enjoying just about everything except for the tunnel scene. Julie Dawn Cole said, Mel would let things roll and encourage us to be creative. Or maybe that he just didn't have any ideas, so he just let us do whatever. Damn.
Ooh, bust out the marshmallows because we've got a roast going on.
So that's the Wonka Watch news for the week.
God, 3 weeks or 3 days, I forget, of Stinky River. That's disgusting. And the coffee dregs and having to hit a tiny hole in the river.
Yeah,
these are awful things.
Nasty.
Awful, gross.
All right, so are we ready to talk about this fucking nightmare of a book?
Let's dive in headfirst into the square meter set aside for us.
Yes. So the only thing I want to say to explain why I liked this book as a kid was I could not stand books that were like condescending, if that makes sense. So like anything that was trying to teach me how to have morals as a kid was just because like I was like, I don't need that. I know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Don't talk down to me, essentially, was my logic. So I think that contributed to why I like this book, because this book has no lesson at the end of the day. It's just fucking crazy. Yes. And I do want to let you know, as I took notes on this, I kept writing Charlie. Every time I meant to write George, I wrote Charlie, and it was a real epidemic for me.
So I had never read this book before, and I did a audiobook version just to kind of keep on theme with how I've digested these other books so far from Dahl. I've done all audio or had it read to me, and I've just decided that's going to be something consistent. But the audiobook I found on YouTube also was slowly panning through the book. So I did see some of the illustrations. I was also deep cleaning my room at the same time. And I kept having these moments of being like, wait, what? Did that really just... What the fuck is happening, Roald? What are we doing? I highly enjoyed my experience, but it was really fucking wild, I'll tell you that. So those are my early onset thoughts to sprinkle upon this cupcake that we're about to nibble, eat, and hopefully not suddenly get really, really tall or really, really short.
Exactly. So I tried to find a little bit on the background of this book, and guess what? There's not much, folks. Ooh. It was written in 1982. According to Wikipedia, Dahl was influenced by Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland with the drink me part.
Okay.
Because she drinks the potion and she gets big, and the grandma drinks the medicine and gets to the size of a house. That was all of the background information I could find on this book. So I don't know why he wrote it. We just got to accept it. So talking about the book itself, I have my childhood copy here in front of me that I read for most of this. I checked a copy out from the library real quick just for some extra stuff. And on the first page of that, it said, do not try to make George's Marvelous Medicine at home. It could be dangerous. Oh. My book did not have that. Have that disclaimer. But just to let you know the kind of book we're going in, it's got a disclaimer on the front page, you know? Mm-hmm. This book goes from... it starts at 100 and it never goes down from 100. No. So if you say, this is a weird place to start, it feels kind of intense. Yeah, it does. So the first chapter, Grandma. George's mom, the titular George, his mom goes to the store and she tells George, don't make any mischief. and feed grandma her meds. And he's immediately like, oh shit, I can fuck shit up. Like, he's like, I'm gonna fuck shit up. Thanks for the heads up. So George is very lonely because he lives on a farm and is an only child. And the only company he has are cows and pigs and his grandma, who he fucking hates.
Yeah. For this grandma reason.
Yeah, this grandma does suck. She never smiles. She's constantly complaining and never shows any genuine interest in George. And Roald Dahl also says she has a puckered up mouth like a dog's bottom. So that was a great piece of imagery.
That was awesome.
He makes her tea and she's like, not sugary enough. And why didn't you bring me a saucer? And he has to make the trip like 18 times. And she says, you know what's the problem with you? You're growing too fast. Boys who grow too fast get stupid and lazy. And he's like, I can't help it, Grandma. And she's like, oh, of course you can, idiot. I'm not growing. And George is like, no, but you did as a kid, though. And she goes, no, actually, I stopped growing when I was very young because it's childish. She also says that growing down is the correct way to grow. And then George asks how, and she says, stop eating chocolate, eat cabbage instead. And then he doesn't want to. And she's like, no, you're actually going to eat it 3 times a day, and it's going to be a mountain of cabbage and like maybe some caterpillars, and because those give you more brains and they taste great. And she goes on a huge rant about how much she likes eating bugs.
The earwigs,
George, at this point,
earwig section fucking killed me. I hate earwigs more than well, I don't know if I hate it more than any other bug, but I do fucking hate them. They're the ones that have the pincers on their ass and they get like, scorpion up and Anyway, she's like, nibble them quickly before they run away. I had a visceral, that was a moment where I paused in my cleaning and had to be the fuck just happened. And I did not appreciate
she
that.
Says,
but I
you've got to be very quick, my dear. When you put one of those in your mouth, it has a pair of sharp nippers on its back end. And if it grabs your tongue with one of those, it never lets go. Awesome. I love that, Grandma. So George is literally backing away slowly at this point to try and leave. And she spots him doing it. And George is like, you know what? Maybe she's a fucking witch. Big jump. Big jump.
Which I was like, haha, yeah, she does seem awful. Like, I don't like her. Okay. Did not expect the turn that this book takes.
She tells him to come closer, as Roald puts it, beckoning him with a horny finger. Cool. Why? So that she can tell him secrets. So he does, and she starts this whole villain speech. Some of us have magic powers that can twist the creatures of this earth into wondrous shapes. Some of us have fire in our tongues, and sparks in our bellies, and wizardry in the tips of our fingers. Some of us know secrets that would make your hair stand straight up on end, and your eyes pop out of your sockets. We know how to make your nails drop off, and teeth grow out of your fingers instead. We know secrets, my dear, about dark places where dark things live and squirm and slither all over each other. It doesn't matter how far you'll run, you will never get away. So George runs into the kitchen. And like, my question is, Grandma, why now? Why in this moment?
Like, when I tell you, you know I don't do horror. Okay? That fucking creeped me out. I did not like that. I could visualize all that shit she was saying, and I did not like the power, nor do I mean, you know I love it, but I also hate the whole like, let me tell you secrets.
I want everyone to know all of that happened in 9 pages.
Yeah.
This book's so fucking crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, at this point I'm like, oh yeah, we have an evil grandma and we're gonna try to like get even with her. Cute. And then the whole fucking witch thing happened, and I wasn't expecting
which we don't come back to that. We never come back to
we don't talk about like the lineage of witchery in this family. We don't
because it's never clear, is George a magical powers, or did he just nail this fucked up recipe?
Yes.
I never even considered that George could be magical.
Things get interesting.
So George is shaking with both fear and rage when he gets into the kitchen. And then he had the sudden urge to do something about her. Something whopping, something absolutely terrific, a real shocker, a sort of explosion. I forgot this was about murder. Like, this book isn't about murder, but it's also like kind of about murder.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's a line where he's like, he was like, I don't really want to kill her. I just want to get back at her. And then proceeds to do shit that pretty much sounds like he wants to kill her.
Yeah, every time. That was an
editor going in and being like, Roald. You need to put in this line just so people know.
He's getting charged with manslaughter, for sure.
And his lawyer's going to have to hustle.
He's like, I'm not scared of her. And Roald Dahl's like, no, he was. That's why he wanted to explode her. Which is wild. Boom. Oh, no, he wanted to explode her. And he goes, well, not quite. He just wanted to shake her up. So potential plans. He had snake down back of dress, firecracker under butt, put 6 rats in room and lock door.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, like
lock the door, Jesus
in
Christ.
the room. But then he sees medicine and is like, wait, this medicine I'm supposed to give my grandma, it doesn't work because she sucks just as much as before she took the meds. And the whole point of medicine surely was to make a person better. If it didn't do that, it must surely be quite useless. So he decides to make a new medicine that will either completely cure her or blow off the top of her head. Again, sounding like murder.
Oops.
This is all happening at 11 a.m.
Mm-hmm. And he's
by the
8
way,
years old, right? He's 8.
Is he 8?
I'm pretty sure he's 8 years old.
he's under 10.
What the
for
fuck?
Sure. He's under 10 for sure. And then he does a song poem about it, because of course he does. And he says, will she start fizzing like a can of Coke? Oh, Grandma, if you only knew what I have in store for you. So George begins to make the medicine. George had no doubts whatsoever about how to make his medicine. He wasn't going to fool around wondering whether to put in a little bit of this or a little bit of that. Quite simply, he was going to put everything in. Nobody has ever made a medicine like that before. So this kid is like, I am practicing groundbreaking medicine. The doctors just aren't doing it like me. And the whole time, he is muttering to himself, which I think is something we need to talk about, because Grandma says, George, who are you talking to in there? So he's like, I'm gonna kill this bitch. Yeah, like, putting all this shit in the tube.
This
so
is
he goes
a horror book.
Yeah, so he goes to the bathroom first and does not go to the medicine cabinet because his parents told him not to touch that because there's stuff in there that could actually kill a person. And like, who wants to say an editor made him add that? But it's funny because he puts that in, like, they don't do the medicine cabinet, but he puts in so many other things that could kill a person.
Yes.
Anyway. Here's the direct quote. Although he was out to give Grandma a pretty fiery mouthful, he didn't want a dead body on his hands.
I don't want to have to clean that up. Ew.
I don't want to be charged with murder.
I'm a good kid. I'm a nice kid.
So he basically just puts everything he finds in the bathroom in here, and I made a list of everything he put in.
Thank God.
Don't worry.
Good.
So let's say the ingredients, all in full container amounts. Golden Gloss hair shampoo, toothpaste, super foam shaving soap, vitamin-enriched face cream, hair remover, Dishware's famous dandruff cream, Brilladent for cleaning false teeth, deodorant spray, liquid paraffin wax, Helga's hairspray. And Roald makes a note here that he really enjoyed squirting these aerosols, so that's fun. I'm happy for him. Yeah. Pink plaster, perfume, flour of turnips, a few lipsticks. Then he goes to the laundry room. He puts in super white dirt removing powder, Waxwell's floor polish. I forgot the O, so I just wrote Waxwell's floor plish.
Floor plish.
So that's awesome. Flea powder for dogs. Keep away from the dog's food because this powder, if eaten, will cause the dog to explode. George says, good, and puts it in.
He. I don't want a dead body on my hands, but let's sprinkle this in there. Nothing can go wrong.
Canary seed, dark tan shoe polish to make it the same color as her normal medicine, a full bottle of gin, curry powder, mustard powder, extra hot chili sauce, black peppercorns, horseradish sauce. So the list continues on later, but we had to take a break. So we get to the chapter Animal Pills. So George is like, okay, so the medicine cabinet's forbidden, but like nobody said anything about the animal medicine.
Loophole.
Let's face it, George said to himself, hairspray and shaving cream and shoe polish are very well and good, and they will no doubt cause some fantastic explosions inside the old geezer. But what the magic mixture really needs now is a touch of the real stuff, real pills and real tonics to give it punch and muscle. What the fuck? So the pot is fucking huge because it's only 3/4 full at this point.
Uh-huh.
And he puts all of them in, even though each one is like, have one a week of these pills maybe. So he puts in like the entire bottle. Just nice. I think it's important to note. So there's medication for chickens for like 8 different issues, horse pills, yellow liquid medicine for cows, sheep dip for fleas. Do not make the mixture any stronger or the wool will fall out and the sheep will be naked. George says, how I'd love to walk in and slash it all over old grandma and watch the ticks and fleas go jumping off her, but I can't. I mustn't. So she'll have to drink it instead. I don't know why it feels right that George would talk like that.
I feel like it's that or he talks like Schmeagol.
How I'd love to walk in and slash it all over old grandma. And watch the text it, please. Oh, jumping over. But I can't. I lost it. So she'll have to drink it instead.
I don't really know what Smeagol sounds like, so it took me a second to get there. And I can't keep that up.
Oh my god, I need a rework of the audiobook only with the Schmeagol voice.
Pig pills, engine oil, antifreeze, grease, and dark brown gloss paint. So then he boils this over the stove. This kid will not be okay.
Boiling in this?
It frosts
yeah,
and foams,
exactly.
and a rich blue smoke comes out of it, and a fiery, fearsome smell filled the kitchen, and George is spluttering because it's awful. And then I wrote in my notes, go to page 28 to hear about him getting high on the fumes. So I'm going to do that. And suddenly, George found himself dancing around the steaming pot, chanting strange words that came into his head out of nowhere.
Fiery broth and witch's brew. Foamy froth and riches blue. Fume and spume and spoon drift spray. Fizzle, whizzle, shout hooray. Watch it sloshing.
What is it? It's turning into like fucking... It always goes Judy Garland.
Hear it says. Hear it hissing. Squishing. Spissing. Grandma, better start to pray.
I hate this fucking kid. I actually don't. I have some sympathy for him. We just had some major technical difficulties. Our recording software said, I don't think so. This book's fucked. I'm stopping you. But what we were talking about before we got booted is this fucked up page where George gets high off his fucking ass. The main thing we want to talk suddenly George found himself dancing around the steaming pot, chanting strange words that came into his head out of nowhere. It's another song poem. But let's look at this last line. Grandma better start to pray.
That's really fucking...
It just
Grandma
feels
better
threatening.
start to pray.
That's the exact voice I did for it while you were gone, so...
Oh, beautiful.
So the medicine is blue, and this is when he dumps in the quart of brown paint to make it the right color. And then he pours out the rest of Grandma's real medicine and replaces it with his fucked up one, which I think was fucked on his part.
That's
I don't
intense.
put it in the real bottle.
No.
So Grandma gets the medicine. He comes back to the room and he gives her the meds. And immediately she goes, "Owie!" And her body shoots 2 feet up into the air. Her hair stands straight on end, and she just kind of floats there for a little bit. She plops back down and says, "My stomach is on fire. Call the fire department." George says, "Cool it, Grandma." Good Lord. And then smoke starts coming out of her nose. So George pours water down her throat and is like, "You're fine." And she says, "Who's fine? There's Jackie jumpers in my tummy, squigglers in my belly, and bangers in my bottom." So then she blows up like a balloon, and her face, which was apparently purple, is now green. But then there's a puncture somewhere, so she deflates. And then she flips herself out of the chair and lands on 2 feet. And she hasn't stood up like that in years, according to George. And she essentially has disassociated from her body at this point with a far-off look in her eyes, miles away from another world. And then she starts growing, getting stretched out a la Mike TV, and ends up growing through the ceiling of the room. And George says, "Hadn't you better stop now, Grandma? Daddy just had this whole room repainted." George, you caused this. This is your fault.
You did this, and you're enjoying every moment of it.
And this is what I was realizing, like the illustrations of her bursting through the roof in this book are spectacular, because she eventually burst through the roof. They are incredible.
Whoa, she looks like a little stick. Like, obviously
Truly.
not little, a tall stick, but like just a very stick-like with an elongated neck.
Yeah, there's just something about the illustrations in this book
A
that
raisin
I really love.
with a face.
Literally. George runs to his bathroom where his grandma's head now is, and she's back in her body and is like fucking hyped. She's like, "Whoopee! Hallelujah! Here I come!" She stops growing and asks for more terrific medicine. George gives her some because, well, why not? And she busts through the ceiling as if it were butter. And George tells her to be careful because the attic has bugs and boggles. What the fuck is that?
Also, why be careful? She likes to eat that shit up. If anything, it'd be like, "Here's a buffet. Go to town, Granny."
Yeah, and at this point, the illustrations look like some, like, a children's version of the Junji Ito Amigara Fault, which that's going to hit for a niche specific group of people. I won't make you look at that because it would scar you for days. So at this point, George is like, "Hey, maybe Grandma shouldn't bust through the roof." But she is determined because I haven't been outside in 20 years and I want some fresh air. Which, like, fair enough. And George is like, oh my god, my dad is going to be so mad when she busts through the roof because I made the medicine and gave her too much, so this is my fault. Do you know what I mean? Which is fair. Correct.
Good. Yes. Own your, not mistake, because you did it on purpose. Own your work. Be proud of your stuff that you make, guys.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
So the next chapter is the brown hen. Surprise! Grandma's through the roof. Grandma thinks she did it because of her magic powers and won't believe George about the medicine. To prove he made it, George feeds the medicine to a chicken. Because chickens are stupid birds and very greedy, they think everything is food. This anti-chicken propaganda, it's wild. So the hen shoots up in the air like a rocket as high as the house, plops back down to the yard, gets on its feet, smoke pours out, George pours water on it does a flip, then it starts growing. That's the order of operations. It happens a lot in this book. If anything gets the medicine in this book, just assume that happens is what I wrote here. This time though, the chicken doesn't get stretched. It stays nice and plump the whole time and became the size of the house. And the whole time Grandma's like, you're gonna kill that fucking chicken, you idiot. And then Grandma's like, well, I'm still taller than it, so fuck you, essentially.
Which, like, why is she feeling jealous of a chicken? She's like, I'm taller than chicken, so,
stop talking about the chicken when you could be talking about me!
Me! I'm in a roof! I eat earwigs!
So the next chapter is the pig, the bullocks, the sheep, the pony, and the nanny goat. So George's last name is Cranky, which I almost think is the craziest thing in this book. I don't know, George Cranky? Just
with a K.
Yeah, with the K. That's very important. His parents come home and his mom drops her groceries in shock. Grandma is now on George's side. Is like, this chicken is so fucking cool and so am I, thanks to my chill grandson George. We get introduced to his father, Killycrank, a small man with bandy legs and a huge head. A devastating descriptor. He is described as a nice father, but annoying to live with because he gets excited about everything. So the dad understandably gets excited when the chicken lays an egg the size of a football because, like, it could revolutionize food production. He's apparently been trying to breed bigger animals for meat, so this is great for him. So he makes George grab the rest of the medicine, and they feed it to a pig, some cows, some sheep, George's great pony named Jack Frost, and to a goat named Alma. So next chapter is called A Crane for Grandma. At this point, Grandma's pissed because she's not the center of attention. Killycrank does not want to get her off the roof, even though his wife and son are both like, hey, maybe we shouldn't leave this elderly woman exposed to the elements. They eventually convince him all to call the Crane Company, which I didn't know that's a thing. And they send their biggest crane to the house. It's revealed that while she still sucks, her aches and pains are gone completely, which is nice. She was suddenly frisky as a ferret, as Roald Dahl puts it. Oh. She jumps onto George's giant pony and gallops around the farm saying stuff like, out of my way or I'll trample you to death. Which is wild. She has to spend the night in a barn with the rats because she couldn't fit in a house, though. Which was a big bummer. So George kind of got his wish about putting her in a
room with rats.
With rats, yeah. So next chapter is called Mr. Cranky's Great Idea. So it's the next day. Mr. Cranky tells George they need to make more medicine to sell to other farmers. They could have a marvelous medicine factory.
Which I feel like this is just becoming GMOs, right?
Yeah.
This is what is happening.
Is that what this was? A comment on GMOs?
Yeah.
Also, the dad puts marmalade on his cornflakes and his wife is pissed about it. That's just a fun note.
I would fucks with that, babe.
Putting marmalade on cornflakes?
I'll report back next episode. Filling up my Instacart right now. Marmalade and cornflakes.
So he makes George go around the house to try and figure out everything he put in the medicine based on the empty containers. Marvelous medicine number 2. This is the next chapter. They try and make it exactly to the way they did it last time. And then they feed it to a chicken. But this time, only its legs get longer. And George is like, fuck. Well, I forgot a few things. So his dad goes to get them. Marvelous medicine number 3. Picture that exactly again, but this time the chicken's neck gets longer. And now marvelous medicine number 4. Same exact thing. This time the chicken shrinks, though. And also Killy says, keep quiet, woman, to his wife. Which I was like, wow, okay,
wow.
Cool. Love that. So now we're at the final chapter of the book, which feels pretty fucking familiar, because it's called Goodbye, Grandma. Literally a single word off of Goodbye, Grandma Georgina.
Yeah.
And it's similar in more ways than that. George is holding the medicine, and Grandma's like, you have tea and didn't bring some for me? So she takes it, and George and Mrs. Cranky are like, no, you shouldn't. And Mr. Cranky's like, I support this. Please drink.
Which is like, whoa.
He very much did a JD from Heather's move. Do you know what I mean? With like that. He's like, I just won't say anything about the switched cup. You know, she drinks 50 doses. So she shrinks a lot. And eventually, while being held in her daughter's hand, she disappears into thin air. Now, doesn't this sound a little fucking familiar to those of you familiar with the glass elevator and the Wonka bite and the Vita Wonk? Interesting. Roald Dahl was like, nobody fucking read the glass elevator. I'm doing it again.
I could do this again.
Nobody gives a shit.
It's gonna be good.
All the kids who read that are grown up now. They're not reading that shit.
Honestly, I judge everybody who read that book of mine. You fucking nerd. You fucking loser.
That was only for the hardcore people.
Yeah. Honestly.
And I hate all those people.
I didn't write this book for them. I wrote this book for me. I hate grandmas.
Yeah, he really has something about grandmas.
There's something to unpack there.
Mrs. Cranky is naturally distraught about this, and her husband, Killy, just says, hooray, that's what happens if you're grumpy or bad-tempered. Great medicine of yours, George. And Mrs. Cranky gets over it by lunch and is like, well, you know, that's probably for the best. She kind of fucking sucked. And then the book ends with, George didn't say a word. He felt quite trembly. He knew something tremendous had taken place that morning. For a few brief moments, he had touched with the very tips of his fingers the edge of a magic world. Huh?
It's so, like you said at the beginning of this episode, what is the moral really of the story? And what was the point of the story? You know, there's no full resolution. This feels like the first part of what should be the rest of a book of him having magical powers. He clearly does. The grandma having evil powers, but never enacting them upon him as he starts to mess with her.
I never considered that George would have magical powers until this moment.
Oh. Well, it's sometimes fresh eyes. It brings a new thing. I gift that to you. I think that may
be more of a controversial take than you think it is.
Oh. Well, he has magical powers. And I stand by that. I think this was Charlie Brown meets Matilda. Oh my God.
What are your thoughts on this book as a whole, as someone who has not already read it? How did you feel? How was the experience of reading this for you?
About halfway through, I went, yep, I could see this being Felicia's favorite book as a child.
Thank you.
I liked the darker part of it, to be honest. I thought it was fun. In a way, maybe it wasn't supposed to be fun. I definitely thought this was kind of the origin story, or, you know, maybe it still is the origin story of a magic serial killer kind of vibe. That's too much power. We now, you know, there's a lot of things that aren't resolved, though, I will say, would be my third thing that kind of bothered me. Like, we have this dad who's a little, like, power hungry now, who's probably going to, like, you know, emotionally guilt his son into making more of this medicine. But George now has already taken out one family member. Who's to say anyone else who wrongs him won't get the same treatment?
No, it's true.
You know, like, this could, the Crankies could be gone in a week. And then
Crankies could get crunked.
The Crankies could get crunked. And then, anyway, yeah, I really liked the things that were added into the medicine, which was majority of the book, was going through ingredients, but
that was like a good 30 pages of it. This book is 90 pages total. It's not long. I like that it was the audiobook was like an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, it's a perfect poop book.
It's a perfect poop book. And I think that I liked it. I liked it. I would gift that to a child. Maybe not let the parents know what it's about. Just leave it at like, oh, it's about a little
I actually learned in my research. They teach this all the time in elementary school, which is wild. But I think it's because it's pretty simple and pretty engaging. But it talks about like scientific experiments, and like there's a lot of gateways you can connect it with science programming, which is wild. They have kids write their own recipes Like, that's the main thing teachers do is they have kids write their own medicine recipes, but like not with toxic ingredients. So
Okay, that's cute. I support that.
I think it's the same amount of. I mean, everybody went in their bathroom and put a bunch of shampoo in a little cup and said, "I'm making a potion." That's what this book is.
We all got different nail polishes and thought, "I'm a mixologist and I'm going to create something magical," and it always came out purple.
We all opened up a hot chocolate shop from the bathtub. But this is a thing we all did. And an experience we all share.
Hot chocolate shop?
Yeah. I don't know why. I was just like, I'm serving hot chocolate. Now, Mom, you're going to have to pretend to be a different customer every 2 minutes while I, a 3-year-old, insist that this be my bath time routine. And she's like, can I wash your hair? And I'm like, not until you've ordered at least 3 hot chocolates from my hot chocolate stand.
Holy God. Wow, your mother loves you.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah.
She put up with a shit ton.
What would you... This is a fun question.
Okay.
You, Felicia, right now in this day, what kind of marvelous medicine would you make?
Oh my God, I'm looking around my room right now. What could I even put in this?
Yes.
I see a full can of artichoke hearts. Nice. I see a full can of Alfredo sauce and a bottle of multivitamins. I see a full bottle of sesame oil. That's going in. I think about 15 little acrylic paints. They're all going in.
Yummy.
Now, what if I put in, there's a bottle of magnesium tablets. That's going in. And a big bag of Jolly Ranchers also going in. Instant white rice. Yes. She's going in. Jiffy peanut butter. She's going in. What else is around here to the left? Rice vinegar. Fuck yeah. It's going in. Old water I've had in a cup for 2 days. It's going in. Hand sanitizer. It's going in.
Casserole.
Adderall. Well, I'm not throwing some Adderall. Go fucking crazy.
Woo!
Not during the shortage.
Not during the shortage.
A perfume oil. I didn't like that much, so I'm going to give to my friend. That's about it. That's what I got in here.
Oh, nice.
You're lucky I have a pantry directly across from me.
Yeah, no, because I'm looking around mine, and it's going to have to be a stew and me melting things down. So I have old water as well. Yeah. I don't know.
Weird that you have to melt your old water, but that's wild.
I like it's the steam. I want the essence of what was inside the water bottle, not the actual water itself. I have half of a melted eucalyptus lichen candle. Mash that up, put that in there. I have another candle that's a tarot candle representing the card the Fool. Ooh, smells like dust. That was all dust up the nozzies. That's going in. I got my iPod. Crack that up, put it in like little croutons. I've got lead from a mechanical pencil. Shoot that in. That could be nice. I have poopery in my desk because you never know when you're going to shit yourself, but you want it to smell good. Yes. So that's going in. Oh, even better, the original Zoo Tycoon. Put that in there. Oh, it's going to be good. What else? Oh, how about a loom knitting little crochet hook used to put over the looms?
I love those things.
How about one of the popper thingies you play with when you are a distracted person and you need something to fidget with? Put that in there, melt it up, get that nice tie-dye color. How about a mysterious little DVD, little tiny disc that I definitely recorded something on it, but I have no idea what's on it. We love a taste of mystery, lots of spice. How about a Brazilian wax and spa coupon that expired last year that for some reason I kept in my desk?
That's wild.
That's wild. And a screw. How about we add in a screw? Wow, I need to clean my desk. I think that's what I just learned from this exercise.
Yeah, the Zoo Tycoon is the one that really got me.
Oh, Zoo Tycoon. You can't find that on Steam, and I'm confused.
I believe you.
I don't know why. Yeah, in the Marine Mania expansion pack, you could get a cheat code to get mermaids, which is a little like socially, morally conflicting, but fuck God. I had a mermaid.
That's very
and
fun.
Xanadu is the cheat code to get a unicorn. Looking out for you guys out there. Tell me, what's your favorite Zoo Tycoon layout, and how many animals have you killed and with people? Thank you for my
Speaking
time.
of killing, there was I found in my research a toxicological analysis of the medicine George makes. So some British scientists wrote a paper to figure it out in like 2020. Basically, they just put everything he put in a cytotoxicology database to figure out like how bad would it fuck her up.
Oh my god.
Our findings suggest that far from being marvelous, George's medicine is in fact incredibly toxic. The medicine contained 34 ingredients. The most common toxic effect identified on Talkspace was nausea and vomiting, with 16 ingredients. Potentially life-threatening events were associated with 38% of ingredients, including depression of the central nervous system, kidney injury, convulsions, cardiac toxicity, and mucosal erosion. The effects described in the book were accurate initially, but then diverted from the most likely clinical outcome, and then in parentheses they wrote, death. Death! The best case scenario is that immediate, intractable, and vigorous vomiting would occur in time to prevent systemic absorption of a fatal dose of toxic ingredients. However, the highly caustic nature of the medicine would almost certainly have resulted in immediate and severe esophageal burns, potentially leading to a catastrophic esophageal aortic erosion and a lifetime of dysphagic complications. So it would fuck her up. That's what I got.
God. Yeah, that's...
So that was fun. And the last thing I have to bring up that I think we do need to discuss is a fan theory. When I was looking, I was trying to find an image of the ingredients in his recipe, and I couldn't find one, which was a real bummer. But I found this theory on Reddit. There was like a photo of his dad, and I clicked on it because I saw Killy Cranky fan theory is a young Willy Wonka. And I was like, hold on, we need to talk about this. I found this before I read the book. I'm going to be honest, I don't agree. But
okay.
This is by user xinfinity, Infinity on r/fan theories. This has 0 comments. I don't know why I found it, but I'm the audience. There are points where he has no remorse, very similar to how Wonka reacts to the children facing the punishments. And then they propose that Killy Cranky at some point loses his wife and child, changes his name slightly, and moves to the city and starts a chocolate factory, and basing it on the lessons learned from George's marvelous medicine. And then he spruces up his looks and clothes and misses his son so much that he wants to find an heir. My thoughts are like, Mr. Cranky for a second thinks this would solve world hunger, which Wonka would never say that. He is explicitly, whenever anyone suggests that to him, he's like, fuck you. Actually, no, you idiot. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I think Roald Dahl just likes to repeat some plot beats and have similar archetypes. He's got an archetype. There's a lot of things he writes. I do think, though, I don't think this is real, and I don't think it's a fan theory. But if this was an origin story for Wonka as George, that's fucking interesting. Do you know what I mean? Oh. I see that more than Killy Cranky. I see George Cranky. George William Cranky.
Wait, George is George. Wilbur is Wilbur.
6 letters.
6 letters.
Okay, so if we look at George and we know that George is related to royalty, and then we think of royalty, I think of, whoa, that was crazy. And when I think of, whoa, that's a W, and then a W, ill, that's so ill, and burr, it's called Wilbur. And therefore, if we look back at the medicine is just like chocolate, because a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. And why is Mary Poppins, if not the mother of Willy Wonka?
That's wild. But yeah, that's all I have.
This is so not related to anything. I just have to tell you this now before I forget.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Whoville, Midsummer. Tell me the difference.
Whoa, hold on.
Tell me the difference. You
can't just fucking say that. You can't just fucking do that. Okay, so did you watch? So you just watched Midsummer is what I'm getting out of this, or did you just watch Horton Hears a Who?
No.
Okay, number one, have you seen Midsummer?
I have seen YouTube clips and read the entire Wikipedia page about it.
Okay,
I cannot bring myself to
Have you seen any Whoville media?
I have witnessed the cartoon Grinch.
Okay.
And I have heard Dahudoris, the main bop of the town. And they hold hands and they the big deal, Switch out the Christmas for whatever they're like. The Midsummer Spring Festival.
Reasoning on why they're the same?
Yeah, so in my mind, we have...
I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
Okay, keeping it in like a major nutshell, basically. In my mind, I see both. Obviously, Midsummer, that's a cult. Whoville, I think, is a cult. We're holding hands and singing songs, and everybody is expected to kind of follow the same like path in my mind. Like, to me, there's more of a creepy underlying, like, we all must have our order. Obviously, the Grinch represents a lot of different things, but he is also an outsider. We don't like the outsider. And I think things are a little too like nice. Like, it's impossible for it to be as nice as it is. So you get that like very like, oh, like in Midsummer, things are floral and it's just a nice trip or whatever. And then it just goes to shit. And I just feel like you give Whoville 5 more years, boom. I don't know. Yeah, I just see some like, I think there's some ties, you know.
There's ties. I see what you're saying. I think I was thrown because you said they were exactly the same. And I was like, no, I don't know about that.
I never said that. I said they were almost maybe. I was like, I don't know, Felicia. I'm going to throw out something. You know that Whoville that exists? You know that Midsummer movie? Those are two weird. Whoa, wait a moment. What if there was a weird overlap between them?
You said Whoville, Midsummer. Tell me the difference. That's what you said to me.
No, actually, I'm going to go back to that. Tell me the difference. Tell me the difference. I think you give it 5 more years.
I'm actually, boom. I don't think I'm familiar with Whoville enough to have this conversation.
Okay, how about I'll do more deep diving on the Whoville stuff and I'll circle back with you with more.
Back.
Yes, it just was a gut instinct that honestly I've not been able to.
I don't disagree with you. I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to make. Actually, no, I do disagree with you, but I don't think I have enough knowledge to get a good rebuttal.
A good rebuttal. Okay, that's fair. So I win this one, and we can just end it at that, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, sorry, I had to get that out before.
Yeah, anyway, final thoughts. How we feeling, Elaine?
Overall, great book. Chaotic plot line. I don't like that there isn't like really a full resolution. I think there's a lot of cool plot elements that could have been continued, and I'm assuming this is the only book in this series. So whatever. He likes the same plots, and I guess like with Matilda, he kind of took all of this and really fleshed out a whole story. So sure, that's my review. That's my final thought. Sure.
I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as I did as a kid. I think I liked it more when I was a kid, but I did really enjoy this. I mean, it's fucking crazy. It's not boring. I'll give it that. I'm not bored by this. I think, like, you know, as much as we do hate on Roald Dahl on this podcast, I do enjoy reading his stuff. Because it's fucking crazy. It's like the book just slaps you across the face.
Yes.
They're like, you want subtlety? Fuck you. You don't get it.
It was like a fancied up Mr. Beast video.
Yeah, this like is not far off from the Mr. This is for the TikTok generation. This book is fucking crazy. It goes so fast. I'm glad we reviewed it. I got a lot more out of it than I thought we would. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I learned something. Even though I don't really know what I learned, I feel like
we got to be closer because I've now read your favorite childhood pooping book. And
exactly.
I don't know. It's pretty
Everybody
cool.
At home, if you want to get close to your best friends, just ask them, what was your childhood poop book? And then you read it and you share stories.
It's a really good open dialogue.
Well, Felicia, do you have any prequel predictions?
Yes. Here's the thing. I think someone in the movie will be ill. Will be physically sick.
Oh, damn.
Right?
Because
you know what I mean?
Mine is someone's going to be physically injured.
Oh my God, look at this. Okay, I have another prediction I kind of want to make, but it might be a little bit too, it might be just because I've read like a few too many romance novels recently.
Oh boy.
I'm thinking, okay, so if we have the thing, I have a long running theory that there is going to be some character in this movie that Timothée Chalamet gets shipped with on Tumblr.
Yes.
I don't think there will be a relationship in this movie, but I think he will be shipped with another male co-star in the movie.
Okay.
I made that prediction long ago. My bets were with whoever Matthew Bainton is playing. Now that he's playing Fickle Grabber, I feel pretty fucking good about it. I'm going to be honest, because that's an enemies to lovers. But if this character exists, this is a provisional. Is that the word? A dependent prediction. If that character exists, one of them will tend to another person's wounds for like a minute, and people on Tumblr will eat that shit up. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's love that
because it's something I could see happening in a Paul King movie. It's like a moment of compassion between the two of them, where like we're in an argument, but or we're fighting, but do you know what I mean? Like as a moment of
no, I
human
got it.
compassion.
In every romance movie or book, when that scene is happening where they're tending to their injuries, for some reason they're in an attic. It's only by candlelight, and the person's shirtless, and they're just slowly touching all over them.
They have this long white cloth that comes out of nowhere, right? And they wrap it around their palm like this, and you slowly see the blood seep through. I've seen it many times.
The person who's helping them is revealing a really deep traumatic part of their life story, and they're like, well, it's whatever. And the whole time while they're focused on the injury, the person who was injured is looking deeply at this person with growing infatuation. I'm like, what
exactly.
The fuck? I just need to get injured. Someone heal me. I just walk around with band-aids. I can heal you.
Who's got a big long white cloth to wrap around my wounds, please?
That's all I'm looking for in a man these days.
That would actually honestly be a really good dating profile bio, is that entire long looking for someone to go into an attic with, to bandage wounds with long white cloth while you reveal a traumatic secret about your personal life, and I stare deeply into your left ear.
Yeah.
That's a great one, and I'm giving that out for free.
God.
Do I need to change my dating profile? That's a really good. That's good.
That's pretty good. We could.
I might actually change that.
You do that. I'll put marmalade on cornflakes. We'll report back with our results.
You'll put in your
my bio. I really like marmalade on cornflakes.
No, you put in your bio Midsummer and Whoville. Show me the difference.
Oh my God.
Well, actually, if you look deeper into the cinematography, I think you're missing the point.
Would be a lot of probably the bullshit.
Whovilles are actually really small, and they could never get a big bear.
Whoville, what about my penis?
Would be. I don't know. They try and they fail. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
All right.
How did we get?
Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of Wonka Watch. We lost the plot a little bit at the end there, but isn't that how we like to do things here? If you enjoyed this episode, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Wonka Watch. And if you have any questions, concerns, comments, and suggestions, you can email us at wonkarapture@gmail.com. You can also support us. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/WonkaWatch. And if you donate to us there, we'll sing you a little song. We kind of have a goal going for the audiobook. The goal may have to be adjusted depending on how pricing actually works out, but I said it conservative and small.
Reminder for people, the audiobook is my Grandpa Joe / Willy Wonka fan fiction that we're going to get. An Imperfect Love that we're gonna get someone to read it and have it as an audiobook file for people to gather.
It'll be released as a nice little bonus episode on here. Very exciting. We're very excited about it.
So fucking excited.
I have some people that I think will do it, but I don't know for sure who will actually accept that fucked up request. So the price may adjust, the goal may adjust a little bit as I'm figuring shit out, but there is a goal there. Okay,
it's so excited.
It's not going to be soon, but it's going to happen.
I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah. So I guess that's about it. Have we covered everything? I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think we did.
My throat still hurts from doing that Smeagol voice.
My throat still hurts from sneezing. Gosh, I genuinely don't know.
You know what? We could use some fucking medicine. Ooh, she said the fucking title.
I'm eating the candles.
It's not that important.
It's not that important.
It's not that the book. It was a poop book. It's not that important.
George's Marvelous Murder is what this book should have been called.
Agatha Christie. It's not that important.
Miss Marple solves a murder. George's Marvelous Medicine.
It's not that important. I'm just gonna say it's not that important until we stop saying non sequiturs. It's not that important.
It's not that important. It's not
Bye.
That important. Bye.
Wee! I'm jumping out the roof. Ah!